I think if you're really trying to understand Putin, it's not as that sophisticated, you're trying to give it that sophisticated strategic look. He's a bare knuckle mafia don, right? And it's my territory, I'm getting it, we kill them. In other words, you're going to sit down over tea and crumpets and work out some sort of relationship with them. I wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal right after the invasion in February 22, I believe the following week. I hope the newspaper people get this next part right because it causes me trouble. And I said the title was, he sowed the seeds of his own demise. Now, I should have said, I didn't mean yet tomorrow, right? It's that you're sowing the seeds, they have to maturate, right? So I'm saying the same thing. In a way, that was such a fundamentally flawed thing. He thought he was going to march in. They were going to celebrate. We thought he was going to march in. We had a 1945 mentality. Let me join the crowd and say I thought he was going to be able to roll over, okay? But I did say in the book he would underestimate the resolve of the Ukrainians when he did it. I should have said he will grossly underestimate because we were going to get Zelensky out of there on a plane. So when you look at that act, that has changed the world in so many ways. That misstep has failed. Now, where are we today? We're at, I think, 1,006 days. If you told me Ukrainians and Russians would still be fighting about the border within this certain limit after 1,000 days, I would say, no way. And I think Putin and his generals would say, no way. But we'll get to this somewhere. War has been revolutionized, and we'll get to it. So this is Jack's unstudied, no. This is my opinion, and that is, I think Putin is trying to figure out how to get out of this thing. And in other words, I was basically saying, when you get a stalemate about where we are today, and it's sustained, he will have trouble inside his own government, and we shouldn't play in that. So I think and where and how it happens, it's not an election, but governments fall when there's that kind of stalemate. So I think he probably recognizes it. My guess is he thinks he might be able to work out a deal with Trump. And whether it's a good deal, bad deal, it may be the same deal he would have worked out with Harris. He will be able to say, oh, I worked it out so he will have cover for action, although Trump is a much better exploiter of the media, and I believe he will say, I worked out the big deal. But at home, it may provide an opportunity. So I'm giving you some optimism here, and that is in the Middle East, I think we may be heading into it. I think in Russia, we may be heading into a stalemate than the one in the Middle East. So the question is, after he gets it, what does he do?
Right.
I think he's going to try and build a new army, right? I mean, the fact that he's got North Koreans, he's unloading the prisons. I mean, people have no idea of the depth of brutality of how many Russians are dying every day. I mean, by the hundreds every day. It is an amazing rate of loss. I mean, it's over. We want to start doing the numbers. We couldn't sustain it. We couldn't dream of sustaining those types of losses. So I think the moment's there, and I think it'll be a deal that neither party is totally satisfied with, but enough faces saved all around the table that life goes on. He doesn't get back into the G7. He doesn't become a national celebrity. He is spent all that goodwill. So he will be the head of a country with a GDP around the size of Spain's. And, again, I wouldn't bet on the durability of his regime into the distant future. But I want to be clear to the press. It's an exciting story. Jack says he's gone, but I'm not saying. I'm saying that conditions that begin it have recently started to set in with the stalemate. It's taken a long time to get to darn near stalemate.